This news program is proudly brought to you by
Smart Start Breakfast Biscuits
and Now Biscuits.
State appeal in Supreme Court to review National Court proceeding on Parker. Duma on SOE recruitment. And police uproot marijuana in Morobe province. Good evening, you're watching National EMTV News. I'm Grace Papiali. Thank you for joining us. The state has appealed to review a decision by the National Court proceedings of May 24, 2023, whether it remains or continues, to determine the state's appeal against Justin Parker in his capacity as the owner of Parker Holdings Limited, shareholder in Golden Valley Enterprises Limited. Parker was sentenced for 13 years in prison of murder in 2015. Supreme Court Appeal 75 of 2023, ruled by Justice Hodgson, is between the independent state of Papua New Guinea as the first appellant and Prime Minister James Marape in his capacity as chairman of the National Executive Council as second appellant, Rainbow Paita in his capacity as Minister for National Planning and Monitoring, who is third appellant, and the National Executive Council as the fourth appellant. Pila Niningi as fifth appellant in his capacity as the Attorney General and representing the Governor General. The respondent is Justin Parker in his capacity as the owner of Parker Holdings Limited, shareholder in Golden Valley Enterprises Limited. Generally, the state have appealed to the highest court of the land to review a national court proceeding to remain or continue in the state's determination of appealing. Pursuant to Order 12, Rule 14, 7 of the Supreme Court Rules and Section 115, 4 of the Constitution, it spells that on the 12th of June 2023, the requirements of service of the application for stay, which was filed on the 6th of June 2023, and its supporting affidavits are then distributed with. The orders granted by Justice Hodgson on the 12th of June 2023 calls for the interparties to return to the hearing at 3 p.m. on next week Wednesday, the 21st of June 2023, to determine whether the orders made should continue. Minister for State-Owned Enterprises William Duma said lack of good experience and qualified people who are able to rise up to workplace challenges is the major problem that they face with when it comes to recruitment of state-owned entities, board of management and managing directors. He made a statement following a series of questions without notice raised by the member for Kundiawa Gembog, Mugua Dilu, today on the floor of Parliament.
Member for Kundiawa Gamble Open says state-owned enterprises are the biggest drivers of our economic growth and development. Therefore, we must have competent board of management and managing directors that must manage the SOE. He says PNG Port's performance has fallen due to no permanent managing director and board of management. Minister Duma says it is not a one-man show for an organization to look good. Some board members and MDs have passed the interview process but failed to perform.
Some cases, when a prospective CEO is interviewed, he passes that interview with flying colors. All the answers he gives, the right answers he gives the impression to the interviewing panel that he has the abilities to do it. But unfortunately, in some cases,
Minister Duma says the potential for political influence is not involved in the appointment of managing directors and board of management in the SOE.
The board members and the CEOs have to go through a public, thorough, merit-based process, which is initiated when a recruitment consultant, an external recruitment consultant is engaged. So in the case of all our SOEs, Mr. Acting Speaker, we have made the decision to farm out all our recruitment process.
He assured the member for Kundiawa Gamble that the recruitment of MD and Board of Management is in the process and will soon be completed, and the appointment will be announced.
Recruitment consultants already called for applicants. It was published in the two papers as well as internationally, and I have been informed that the recruitment consultants have already recommended the people on the short list. That short list will then be taken to the Board of Ports PNG Corporation, who will then send another short list to the Board of KCH. Finally, it goes to the ministry and then to cabinet. So
he also clarified that ports identified for rehabilitation and rebuilding have been given to people who are running the Australian Infrastructure Finance Planning Program. This was said following a second question raised by the member for Kundiawa Gamble on the status of the Australian Infrastructure Development Agreement.
The loan agreement was signed last year, witnessed by our Prime Minister, and those ports which have been identified for rehabilitation and rebuilding have been given to the people who are running the program. Mr. Acting Speaker.
Esther Gane, National EMTV News.
Treasurer Minister Ian Link-Starkey said there are about 5 hospitals in the country, including Kimbe Hospital, that are included in the financing plans for this year and the 5-year framework that will cost about 1.2 billion kina, as these are very large projects that require a lot of assessment. He said this following a question without notice raised by the West New Britain Governor, Sasindran Mutuvel, in Parliament today.
West New Britain Governor questioned the Treasury Minister on the status of Kimbe Hospital, where NEC has approved and the groundbreaking ceremony has been witnessed.
One status below Kimbe Provincial Hospital, where NEC approve him, na him witness him groundbreaking. So one progress below this la Kimbe Provincial Hospital. Now second question below me NEC approve him on 5 million kina law. This la curfew operations law West New Britain after law big law and order issue. So M2 one progress below this la commitment below NEC because all MS 19, MS 18, MS 32 all stop below province.
The Treasury Minister says about 5 hospitals in the country are under the priority projects.
In relation to the Kimbe Hospital, Mr. Speaker, that together with 4 other hospitals, level 5 hospitals, priority projects for our government. It's a very large project, as you can appreciate, Mr. Speaker. The is now finalising an NEC submission to take to Cabinet to endorse this particular project.
He stated that each hospital costs about 300 million kina and that requires a lot of assessment.
And the time that's taken so far is because we have to ensure that all of these large projects, you heard me say 5 of them, this plus 4, this plus 3 others, that's 4 times 300 million, that's 1.2 billion kina total. So we have to ensure that the funding that takes place falls within our financing plan for this year and falls within our 5-year framework as well. So it's not quite straightforward, but we're getting there, and hopefully I'll have some good news to report back to the Governor in the near future.
Esther Gane, National EMTV News.
The Lae Metropolitan Police have uprooted a number of matured marijuana plants at Nasuapmum village, close to Nadzap, yesterday morning. Lae Metropolitan Commander Chief Superintendent Chris Kunyanban says the marijuana plants were grown by settlers at Nasuapmum and not by locals, and 11 suspects have been arrested.
He says there are more marijuana plants there and police are working to uproot them all and make arrests. Kunyanban says rural-urban drift is a contribution to these problems.
different sectors of the government, the policing, the health, the economic sector. You look at it, it's telling a signal. Don't just look at the marijuana itself being grown. It's telling the government of the day a story of its own. Rural urban drift is increasing. People are migrating from the rural settings back into town, surrounding areas within town like Naso Kumialu, and then they start using those areas of vicinity to do illegal activities to sustain it.
He says although this is unlawful, there are other factors contributing to the growing and cultivating of marijuana and other illegal activities. Kunyanban says different sectors need to see such problems in the communities in different angles and try to address these.
We also cannot blame them. We look at other factors, we will not blame them. But what they've done is wrong by law. But it is, like I said, sending a signal back to the different sector to address this issue. Look at the issue more than about growing marijuana. It's about social well-being of the people, it's about the economic growth, it's about the wealth distribution, and the list goes on. I cannot speak for other sectors.
He says the 11 suspects are now behind bars and they will be formally charged. Kunyanban says he hopes the judges at the courts can give a good penalty to them that will be a reference back to the communities or people that are involved in such activities.
Charged, and they all belong to some are Goroka people and some are Simbu people. They are now being bars and they'll be dealt with, and I hope the court will look at it and give some good penalties that will be a deterrent back to those people who are trying to shift from doing legal activities to illegal activities like growing marijuana plants.
Meanwhile, the Leh Metropolitan Commander says all stakeholders must work together to address the influx of people coming into the city and are causing problems. He says the police alone cannot do much because they are down with manpower and are doing everything possible in their means to keep the city safe. Natasha Ovoy, National MTV News.
Trukai Industries is pleased to announce its first rice farmer to be trained as an irrigated rice farmer under its Smart Farmer program. Bob Langu from Karuntar village in Karkar Island is proud to be a pioneer under Trukai Industries rice cultivation program. The Smart Farmer program provides training to aspiring farmers like Bob Lango to be trained as irrigated rice farmers. Among 105 local rice farmers who attended the Smart Farmer program at the University of Technology earlier this year and have completed their final assessment, Lango, who hails from Kuruntau village in Karkar Island, is proud to be a pioneer under Trukai Industries rice cultivation program. Lango stated, and I quote, "In my opinion, Trukai is more than just rice because the training that I had undergone has enhanced my skills in cultivating my rice, which means I can now venture into a smallholder business and help to sustain my family with our everyday needs," end quote. Lango has dedicated 3 hectares of his land to rice farming and encouraged more farmers on Karkar Island to sign up for the Smart Farmer program. Trukai Industries Rice Development Manager Aina Davis said that the modules in the training is designed for local farmers to become smallholder farmers, then transition into semi-commercial and commercial farmers. Trukai provides the farmers with rice seeds, fertilizers, and technical guidance in ensuring that they meet the requirement to become fully certified irrigated rice farmers. Trukai Industries Chief Executive Officer Alan Preston said the company is committed to promoting local rice farming and partnerships with tertiary institutions like the PNG University of Technology and the Pacific Adventist University, which demonstrates Trukai Industries' support for local farmers. Hence is their contribution towards rice development in PNG. National MTV News continues after the break with more stories. Stay with us. Welcome back to National MTV News. The Hiri Koiari District Development Authority today signed a memorandum of agreement with MiBank for a total sum of 1 million kina for farmers and aspiring business people from Hiri Koiari to access. Member for Hiri Koiari Keith Iduhu was present to officiate the ceremony this afternoon at the MiBank head office in Port Moresby.
Some good news for the people of Hiri Koiari electorate, as they can now access funds at the MiBank for businesses or trading purposes. Member Keith Iduhu explained the objective of this MOA signing.
Signifies an opportunity and the commencement of a relationship that's going to foster the growth of micro SMEs in the district. So for constituents who engage, the odd mums and dads who are doing betel nut sales to vegetable farming to trade stores, PAVs, what have you, who put bread on the table.
More so, the Chief Executive Officer of MiBank, Tony Westaway, said this is a new and exciting partnership, and apart from lending loans, the bank will also conduct trainings on money management to the people of Hiri Koiari.
This facility that we're providing will be very much a bank loan against the funding that's provided by the Honourable Member. But we will ensure that those applicants actually meet the normal credit criteria, because it's about financial education as well. Understand the needs of the district, understand the level of financial education and literacy, and when needed we will provide some training, some awareness.
Lindy Suharupa, National MTV News.
Fresh Produce Development Agent has signed partnership agreements with 3 selected lead partners in Western Highlands Province. The signing was done yesterday at Highlander Hotel in Mount Hagen.
The launching and signing of Call to Batch 1 Partnership Agreement is to improve agriculture-based businesses under the Market for Village Farmers project. According to Master of Ceremony Bill Humphrey, FPDA signed similar agreements with 6 lead partners in Eastern Highlands Province on Tuesday. 3 partners in Western Highlands signed yesterday, and today 6 partners were signed in Simbu Province. FPD CEO Mark Warinu said the signing would enable the lead partners to reach other farmers and coordinate steady large-scale production and supply of vegetables, which business partners required.
The thinking is to really mobilize them, establish reliable production systems, connect them to the champion farmers, the lead partners, and then we do extension work. Extension has got to be more tailored, more sharpened, market-oriented, right? We have to do those kind of things.
The signing in Mount Hagen was between FPDA and 3 lead partners who run agriculture-based businesses. These are Makos Fresh Produce, Veg Fresh Limited, and Kelta Potato Trading Limited. Meanwhile, Deputy Secretary Policy and Planning for Agriculture and Livestock Department, Francis Dang, has encouraged the lead farmers to put the funding support from the national government and International Fund for Agriculture Development. Meanwhile, on behalf of the farmers, Jenny Baba, manager of Veg Fresh, thanked the stakeholders involved in identifying the 3 of them in Western Highlands Province.
Partner, mipla pijama tripla midok thank you Logisla. Na mipla stabilize inside peninsula system na mipla by trying best to mipla lo carry out this la or work mipla like mipla lo make him long.
It is understood that Western Highlands Province has very fertile land with surplus organic products in the local markets. The move by the Agriculture Department in partnership with FPDA is to help local farmers have a steady supply chain in order to build trust with trading partners, especially retailers and foreign importers. Amanda Ilaitia, National EMTV News.
Ultimax Security Services has achieved International Standards Organization or ISO certifications, solidifying commitment to excellence. Managing Director of Ultimax Security, Colin Copioto, received these certificates witnessed by business partners, families, friends, and the security personnel of the company yesterday.
The Ultimax Security Company is now a recognized security solutions provider in PNG after the company successfully attained its ISO 9001-2015 and ISO 18788 certifications yesterday. The attainment of Ultimax Security's achievements came after some intense preparations, as alluded to by Benedict Oraka of Sheikh Consultancy.
We actually started the journey for Ultimax I think it was in November, where there was a bit of dialogue and all that, and was I think the first or second week of January that we really started the process for them. There's a lot of audits done, a lot of criticism, a lot of remarks, a lot of meetings, a lot of papers sent to and forth, and only until last week we were able to get the certification after doing a successful surveillance audit.
Ultimax Security now has processes and systems in place that meet these international standards. However, for it to keep these certifications, they will have to maintain these standards. They are subjected to retain these certifications upon annual audits.
This certification is only issued to companies that meet the standards. So Ultimax has received ISO 9001-2015, which is the quality management systems, and 18788-2015, which is the quality management systems for private security companies.
Managing Director of Ultimax Security, Colin Copioto, said this will now boost the company to aim high and perform even better.
I believe that most of the work is ahead of us. We want to challenge ourselves, and we want to meet up to those requirements and standard. And we have a young team. We are, homegrown. We are to stay. We want to challenge ourselves, not just be there to be, babysitted or pushed by the government. We want to push ourselves so that we want to be better.
The Ultimax Security Company was established in 2014 and is locally owned, providing employment to over 100 Papua New Guineans. Lady Suharupa, National EMTV News.
Coffee farmers and buyers in Simbu are concerned about the drop in coffee prices, stating this has been a loss for them. They are calling on Coffee Minister Joe Cooley to look into increasing the price of coffee for provinces in the Highlands region, including involved in growing coffee.
Farmers in Kundiawa town and coffee farmers who came to sell their coffee bags raised concerns regarding the price of coffee. Currently, the coffee buyers are buying coffee at 7 kina per kilo from the farmers. Coffee farmers are traveling from as far as Jivaka into Kundiawa town to sell their coffee bags. Coffee buyers in Kundiawa also raised another concern that the government, through the minister, need to help the buyers with standard facilities and transport subsidies to transport their coffee bags into Goroka. Transporting coffee bags into Goroka on a daily basis is around 2,000 kina per container that carry around 200 bags. Both the coffee buyers and farmers are now asking the government and Minister Joe Cooley to look into the price of coffee so that coffee farmers can better benefit to sustain their livelihoods, as this is the only way they generate income. Lindy Suharupa, National EMTV News.
And now looking at the Nest Fund market report, the Kina closed unchanged at $0.2810 in the interbank market. At Bank South Pacific, your Kina was buying $0.2735 $0.3991 Australian dollars, €0.2449 euro, 37.89 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York closed, gold is trading lower, coffee closed higher, cocoa closed higher, copper closed lower, palm oil closed higher, crude oil is trading higher, copper closed higher. On the stock market, the Dow Jones closed lower, the ASX 200 is trading higher, the All Ordinaries is trading higher. National EMTV News continues after the break. Stay with us. You're watching National EMTV News. Moving to overseas news now, and people in North Korea have told the BBC that the nation is in the midst of a critical food crisis, the worst since the 1990s.
Food supplies are so low, people have started dying.
This chilling testimony comes from inside North Korea.
Once, I didn't eat for 2 days. I only drank water.
Recently, people have been knocking on the door, asking for food, because they're so hungry.
Hearing from people inside this isolated country is extremely rare. But with fears the country is on the brink of a famine, we've been secretly communicating with people who live there. We're using actors and animations to illustrate their words and have changed their names to protect them.
In our village, 5 people are starved to death.
Chan Ho is a construction worker living near the Chinese border.
In one family, their wife was too ill to work, so 2 children were surviving by begging. In the end, all 3 of them died. At first, I was afraid of dying from COVID, but then I began to worry about starving to death.
At the start of the pandemic, North Korea completely sealed its borders. These pictures, released by the regime, are all the world's been able to see. For years, no one has been allowed to enter the country. Authorities even stopped food and medicine from crossing the border. In South Korea, we began to get reports of chronic food shortages, and so we teamed up with an organisation here. Daily NK has sources inside the country who were able to get our questions to people. This is Ji-yoon, who lives in the North Korean capital Pyongyang, the wealthiest part of the country. She tells us even here, supplies are running dangerously low.
Once, I didn't eat for 2 days. I thought I was going to die in my sleep at night.
What these people are telling us evokes memories of the devastating famine of the late 1990s, known as the Arduous March, which killed as many as 3 million people.
For the past 10, 15 years, we rarely heard of death by starvation. That was something that happened during the late 1990s or early 2000s.
But the spectre of another famine has not stopped Kim Jong-un from funneling his limited finances into building nuclear weapons. The money he spent on missile tests last year would have been enough, according to some estimates, to ensure his entire population was properly fed.
Members of the European Parliament have approved a draft of the world's first set of comprehensive rules for artificial intelligence.
The voluntary code of conduct is designed to limit harm from AI while fostering innovation in everything from self-driving cars to chatbots. The model could set a precedent for other countries working on similar regulations.
We have set the way for
the dialogue that we will need to have, we started having with the rest of the world on how we can build responsible AI for our globe, for the systemic risks that this can entail, but also thinking of everyday citizens, consumers, businesses, institutions that need to be supported in having an intake of AI so that they can get the best out of the AI.
A pre-inquest hearing into a deadly police shooting will be held in Brisbane 6 months after the tragedy. 2 officers and a neighbor were killed in what's being described as a terrorist attack.
Today is a pre-inquest hearing into, well, an incident that shocked the entire country when 2 young police officers were gunned down along with a neighbour of a property on the Western Darling Downs in Williambilla in December of last year. It was really a premeditated attack on the Queensland Police Service, orchestrated by religious fanatics, and it took the lives of 2 young constables, in Rachel McCrow and Matthew Arnold, and Alan Dare, a neighbour, he was also killed in that incident. The perpetrators, the killers, they were Nathaniel, Gareth and Stacey Train. They were described as, domestic terrorists, and the attack was described as being religiously motivated. So today we will hear here at the Brisbane Coroner's Court from the State Coroner, Terry Ryan. He will outline what will be revisited in this inquiry and what needs to be put in place to try and ensure something like this never happens again.
At least 79 migrants have drowned after a boat capsized off the coast of Greece, with hundreds more believed to be
Greek authorities are still in the process of conducting a search and rescue operation to try to find survivors of this horrific shipwreck. What we know so far is that this boat was travelling from Libya to Italy when it capsized off the coast of Greece. Authorities think that there were too many people on the deck of this boat, causing it to capsize, but at the moment they don't know exactly how many people were on board. There are estimates from a European charity, a charity that goes to rescue migrants at sea, that they received a distress call warning that there was about 750 people on a boat that was capsizing off the coast of Greece. The UN has said they have heard reports of about 400 people on this boat. In any event, only about 100 have been rescued so far, and that means that there are potentially hundreds more still missing. Now, this stretch of water, unfortunately, is familiar with tragedy. It is the main route that is taken by migrants and refugees leaving the Middle East, Africa and Asia, trying to get into Europe. And unfortunately, we have seen a number of these catastrophic shipwrecks and catastrophic boat accidents over a number of years. But it looks like, unfortunately, this could be one of the most serious we have seen in several years. People who have been rescued from that boat are currently at a port in a town in Greece, and they are helping authorities try to figure out where these people are and how many more may have been on board. But Greek authorities are saying so far this is the deadliest shipwreck they have seen off the coast of Greece this year.
National EMTV News continues after the break with Trukai Sports. Stay with us.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. And Port Moresby Soccer Association's elected president will officially announce the launching of the 2023 season proper at the Bicini Soccer Park on Sunday, the 18th of June 2023 at 2:30 p.m. The PMSA proper season will kick off with matches on the Friday, the 16th of June 2023, King's Birthday public holiday, and will run its round-robin competition for 18 weeks, ending on the 7th of October 2023.
The 2023 PMSA season will see 10 of the best teams in NCD compete over 22 weeks to earn the right to be called the Premier League champions of the biggest football association in Papua New Guinea. Tomorrow's games will be followed by 4 weeks of the finals playoffs from the 14th to the 29th October of this year and the Premier League Grand Finals. A corporate tournament will be hosted between the first and second rounds on the 12th and 13th August of this year. These community tournaments are aimed at creating the opportunity for PMSA and its members to network with the corporate sector, as well as raise revenue to sustain the association's day-to-day operations. Natasha Ovoy, Trukai Sports.
Kundiawa Town will be busy this weekend as rugby league clubs look forward to competing tomorrow. Godwin Eki reports from Kundiawa.
Now, the Kundiawa Rugby League tournament will kick off tomorrow for this weekend. This is expected to see both the men's and women's competition take place and will end on Sunday before the next round next weekend. Godwin Eki, Trukai Sports, Kundiawa.
18-year-old Gerald Phillip has 2 months to prepare for his first ever international fight in October 2023 in Thailand. Godwin Eki reports from Kundiawa.
Now, 18-year-old Gerard Phillip, who has been preparing himself for the first ever kickboxing tournament that was recently hosted by the PNG Kickboxing Federation, was very successful in his first bout. Now, as you can see, I'm here in a very small gym where Gerard every day trains. He's got his training gears right behind me, as you can see. This is where he trains with his dad and his mates every day. Now, I spoke earlier to his dad because Gerard has been selected by PNG Kickboxing Federation to travel to overseas in October to Italy, where he will participate in an international tournament spearheaded by the PNG Kickboxing Federation and his dad, Gerard Phillip. Here is what he had to say about his preparations.
Okay, this is where Junior started his training. This is where he built up his muscles. And he comes here about twice a day and does some sparring outside. And he won his first fight now in Moresby. So the next one is in Trieste in Italy in October. So now he's going to go to Thailand for a couple of months to build up his stamina and get ready for the big fight.
Now, Gerard, who has only less than 3 months to go before his international bout in October in Italy, this is where he will be training, preparing himself for the international bout. But in a few weeks' time, Gerard will be traveling with his dad to Thailand, where he will stay for 2 months in preparations for the big fight before he returns to Port Moresby and then make his way to Italy with the PNG Kickboxing Federation and of course some other fighters who will be representing Papua New Guinea come October this year, 2023. Godwin Eki, Trukai Sports, Kundiawa.
Trukai Sports continue after the break. Stay with us.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome back to Trukai Sports. Moving to overseas sports now, and England has finalised their team for the Ashes cricket test against Australia starting tomorrow evening.
Broad has been selected over Mark Wood, joining Jimmy Anderson and Ollie Robinson in the host's pace attack. Anderson and Robinson have both recovered from injuries, while off-spinner Moeen Ali has also been included in the 11 after coming out of retirement to replace injured spinner Jack Leach. Captain Ben Stokes, pictured on screen now, bowled in the nets at training overnight despite ongoing concerns over his left knee.
Francis Tiafoe has continued his good form in the lead-up to Wimbledon.
At the Stuttgart Open, Tiafoe defeated Jiri Lehecka 7-6, 6-4 to advance, who will face Italian Lorenzo Musetti, who also enjoyed a straight sets victory. Meanwhile, in the Netherlands, Yannick Sinner started his grass season brilliantly, defeating Alexander Bulbik 6-4, 6-2 to get his season underway nicely ahead of Wimbledon, which has raised its prize money by 11% to a total of £44.7 million, which is a shade under 83.2 million Australian dollars. Not a bad time to be a professional tennis player, that's for sure.
A Supreme Court judge says it is likely that several lawsuits involving former AFL players suing the league and clubs for concussion injuries will be merged.
The court is currently trying to decide how to manage 5 separate civil cases involving former players who are seeking damages from the AFL, specific clubs and individual doctors. An option that is available to the court is whether some or all of the cases should be merged due to overlapping claims. Yesterday, the lawyer representing Gary Ablett Sr. and Liam Picken told the Supreme Court they wanted their matters heard individually.
And that ends Trukai Sports. The Money Plus weather report is next. Stay with us.
Trukai Sports. Trukai Sports.
This weather update is proudly brought to you by Money Plus. With you always.
The weather forecast for the next 24 hours in the southern region: Port Moresby City mostly cloudy with possible showers, Daru mostly fine although cloudy at times, Kerema cloudy with rain showers and thunderstorms, Alotau mostly cloudy, Popondetta partly cloudy with few showers. In the Momasa region, Ley City cloudy with some showers, Medang cloudy periods with few showers, Wewak partly cloudy with brief showers, Vanimo cloudy periods with few showers and possible thunderstorms. In the New Guinea Islands region, Lorengau cloudy with rain showers and possible thunderstorms, Kavieng cloudy with rain showers and thunderstorms, Kokopo Rabaul, Kimbe and Buka cloudy with rain showers and thunderstorms. And in the Highlands region, Mount Hagen City, Goroka and Kundiawa, cloudy periods with rain showers and possible thunderstorms. Mendi and Wabeg, cloudy periods with rain showers and thunderstorms.
The weather update was proudly brought to you by Money Plus. With you always.
And that wraps up the news, sports and weather for Thursday, the 15th of June, 2023. From all of us here, have a safe long weekend. Pleasant viewing. Bye for now.
This news program was proudly brought to you by Smart Start Breakfast Biscuits and Gold Nuggets.